you become the eternal spirit. Jews, we've all been Christians, we've all been Mohammedans. We've lived through many lifetimes using the vehicle, if I can use that word, of religion to keep us in the center, to keep us from going too far to the left or the right. Sometimes this green area in the chart is referred to as the ocean of illusion. And sometimes when I'm explaining Kundalini awakening, we talk about this ocean and we talk about how we have to row the boat across that ocean. And religion, or dharma, or the righteousness within our own life is the boat that we row. And sometimes the boat becomes very shaky. Sometimes it goes way off course. But eventually, that ocean has to be crossed. And this is what you've been doing over your many lifetimes. You've been establishing your dharma. You've been establishing that quality of righteousness which has made you the great seekers that you are, the seekers after the spirit. Not seekers of power, not seekers of wealth, but the seeking of your spirit. And so, once you get your realization, religion becomes unimportant. And yet, in a sense, Mataji Nirmala Devi is the consummation of all the religions. You become all of them, and yet you don't need, in a sense, any of them. When you become one with God, when you become your spirit, from that point onwards, the whole purpose of religion has been achieved. And so this is the experience that you get. As I said, we have this system of centers within us. It's called the yantra, or the mechanism that lies there. How it works is the tantra. There are 7 centers, starting with the Muladhara center at the bottom, which is the one below, colored in red, and the place in the sacrum where the Kundalini sits. That's the first center. Then there is the second center, which we refer to as the Navi chakra, here. Because Kundalini rises, it's almost like putting a pylon in the middle of the ocean, and then back Kundalini comes to establish the creative force, which is the third center of Swadhisthana. And then we start the passage across the ocean. And this is where the dharma, or the quality of righteousness of our many lives, is established. Until we reach this next center, which is the heart center, which is the center where the spirit dwells. It's the center where we get our security. It's the center where we begin to know our spirit. Begin to know our spirit. Then the next center is the Vishuddhi center, which is located in the throat. And this center is the center where we begin to perceive the greatness of God, the all-pervading nature of God, the Allahu Akbar, the great God beyond, not the limited, confined knowledge of spirit, but the greatness that we are just part of an all-pervading spirit. This is where we have our self-esteem. And then we have the Agya center, which, as I said, is the center of Christ. So most of us as Christians know the essence that was Christ, the essence that is the eternal nature of the Spirit. The resurrection was the message of Christ, the quality of forgiveness. But that's the past. We've been all of these things. Now we're in the present. Now before us we have truth. We have the force, the power that can awaken the residual energy that lies at the base of the spine, in the sacrum, and which, when it is awakened, rises, passes through even this center, and gives us what we call thoughtless awareness. No thoughts coming in, but you are completely aware. After it passes this center, finally it passes through this center, which is the center of Mataji Nirmala Devi. This center, when awakened, gives us our self-realization. It makes us collectively conscious. We begin to feel the vibrations of Almighty God. We begin to become collectively conscious. We put our attention on our own being, and we can see which of our centers are catchy, which is in trouble. We can put our attention on others, and we can see where their problems are. Probably the most exciting part is that we can give realization to others. And this is how we're all going to be part of a big leap forward in the spiritual evolution that has to come. This is how we have to grow. So when you get it tonight, if you haven't already established it, treat it with tremendous sanctity and with zeal, develop it. This is given to you as a gift. No money can pay for it. When you get it, savor it, develop it. Develop to the point where your realization becomes complete. This is the goal. This has been the goal that you've all had over your many lives. As I'm developing it, as many of us, the Sahaja Yogis around the world, are developing it, you too can do it. And you have to become the people in America who become those great people who have to show what collectivity is all about, what being, the collective being which sits at this point, has to be. You don't understand the significance and the importance of your role. It's tremendous. Because when we become collective, we're expressing an aspect of the pure desire of God. Not just talking about being brothers and sisters, not just loving one another in a rather simplistic sense, but actually becoming really brothers and sisters. Knowing and sharing the joy and helping each other in a very, very positive way to become the Spirit. So when you get it, I really urge you to work hard at it. It's not something which when you get it, you go to the next lecture. As some people say, it's good to get Shakti from a number of places. I've heard this said so often. This is not what it's all about. Be careful if you think that, because you don't get Shakti from a number of places. Shakti comes only from one being, an authorized, realized soul. And it has to awaken that energy at the base of the spine. Not do what often more sinister people delude us into thinking is Kundalini awakening, when in fact they're exciting either the left side or the right side, and you get a burning or a heat sensation passing up the spine, followed by a period of so-called bliss. That's not Kundalini. In fact, it's the deity at that point getting angry. Be careful. Tell people about this, that it's not Kundalini awakening when that happens. Kundalini is your mother. It's a cool, sweet energy. It's the vibrations of Almighty God. It's what was referred to in the scriptures as the cool wind of the Holy Spirit. So when you get it, please cherish it and develop it. The chakra system is a very subtle instrument. The experience that you get tonight may be very subtle, but something very special will happen by Mataji's love and by her power if you humble yourself down and say, please God, give me this experience so that I can become my spirit. That's the way to do it. And just slip your shoes off and hold your hands out to Mother in a very simple way, as if asking for something, and it will probably happen. Keep your feet on the ground, and it will probably work out. Again, for the new people, let me introduce to you Mataji Nirmala Devi.
right hand, he'll be much
Mother,
better.
Mother wants
I
to.
would say you have a left-sided problem. You sit there, it's better.
Come over here so
and
that
the
we
right
can
hand outside.
clear it out. Just
But
leave
there's
it
no
in
window
there.
that side, but it doesn't matter. It's an open space. You can walk. You'll be much better. Take your shoes if you want to. The left-sided problem he has. He can't even sit properly. Left towards me and right. It's all left nabi, left swadhisthana. And if he can say that mother, I am my own, it will work out better. So, also, what you have to say, I am it's too much. I don't know how poor thing is very. All set. All right. Yesterday I gave you the history of the seeking of human beings, how in 3 different lines we have been seeking. The first one, as I told you, on the right hand side, where they were doing something about exciting or awakening the deities of the elements. More in Greece and all these places they did these things much more than they did in India. Also in India we had the Vedas. In the Vedas, whatever they did was just to excite, or you can say awaken, the deities of the 5 elements. I think you all know what these 5 elements are. I need not tell about them. So this side that we see here is the power of action which enacts through 5 elements. This side is the power, as I told you, is the power of desire, which is a power by which we are emotional. This emotional power is active as a desire power, and this power that is there, which is the Kundalini, is the desire to be one with your spirit, which is not yet manifested. That's why it's a sleeping power and called as a residual power, because it has created the whole universe that is you and still is residual. In the center we have another power by which we have evolved. From our amoeba stage to this stage, whatever we have achieved is in our central nervous system. So we have another system which is the achievement through our evolution. That is called as central nervous system. Whatever is in our central nervous system is the consciousness, is the present. So the right side one, as you see here, and the left hand side one are also 2 sympathetic nervous systems. This is the left sympathetic nervous system, this is the right sympathetic nervous system. But as you are seeing here, it is a subtle body, and in the gross we can say this is the left sympathetic nervous system, this is the right sympathetic nervous system, and this is the parasympathetic nervous system, and this central nervous system we have not shown here. Whatever you achieve as a human being is perhaps not properly understood also. Now you see, if you put an animal in a dirty place, he doesn't know what is dirt is. He doesn't smell anything awful. He doesn't think it's something wrong. It can walk into any place. while for a human being it is unbearable. The achievement of our awareness as a human being is there, but is not complete, is not full. It has not reached its maximum or optimum, or we can say it has not got yet its own purpose. It has not reached its absolute value, and that's why we are in a confusion. The another problem is that when the man raised his head here, these two powers started working within him, creating two big institutions called ego and superego. And these institutions became like balloons, and they met on top of the head here near the fontanelle bone area, say about 12 years of age. The whole thing gets calcified. And when it is calcified, you become the egg, you become separated, you develop your iris. Before that, you are not. Now, an animal doesn't have a problem of ego. I mean, he doesn't have many problems. For example, he won't be bothered if your dollar has a problem. He won't understand about insurances. He won't understand so many problems that we have created for ourselves. But he doesn't have the possibility. He doesn't have the possibility to get realization in the first place, and another possibility that once he gets realization, to know his spirit. Many people have asked me, what about animals? I said, animals cannot get realization. They cannot. Even, say, if there's an animal, if you vibrate that, he may carry the vibrations. Even this chair can carry the vibrations. Even these flowers can carry the vibrations. They can have vibrations, but they are not aware of them. This difference we must understand very clearly, that they are not aware. That's why the people who have found out certain places as the places of worship, places of adoration, they are the people who are seers, who were realized souls, and they could feel the vibrations in that particular place, and that's how they selected those places for worship and other things. Now, for example, I went to Kashmir once with my husband, and we were going in the car, and suddenly I felt tremendous vibrations in the air, cool vibrations. And I told my driver, I said, there must be some temple or something here. They said, there's no temple, it's absolutely a place which is forlorn. But I said, must be about 2-3 miles area, there must be some place of worship of someone. Oh, he said, there is one. I said, which one? It's called as Hazrat Bal. That is, one hair of Muhammad Sahib is kept there. And people go to that place. Now, so many Muslims go to that place, they don't know why they go. Some pir, some realized soul must have told that this is the hair of Muhammad Sahib, and that's why there are vibrations, so that hair is kept there. They have fought over it and done all kinds of things, but they don't know what they are doing. So when I went there, I saw lots of people were there, and they wouldn't allow us to go in because we are not Muslims according to them. But sitting down there, I could feel the vibrations of Muhammad Sahib. Only one hair of Muhammad Sahib. So you can imagine how powerful these vibrations are. Now, when we say that we should not worship, in the Bible it is written that you should not worship anything that is reproduced and created by the Mother Earth and the heavens. Now, what is it? What is it created by the Mother Earth and by the heavens, which we should not reproduce? This nobody tried to find out. They think that you are not allowed to worship any form. It's all misinterpretation. It's completely misinterpretation. I'll tell you, there is in Paris a church called as, what is it called, brother? Notre Dame. And the statue of Mary and Christ is so vibrating, from outside you can see the vibrations are coming out. Now, this must have been made by some very great artist who was a realized soul. For example, the Sistine Chapel in Rome has got a very beautiful frescoes of Christ and all that. And if you see that Christ, I mean, it's absolutely vibrating. But down below there's a big table on which they have put Christ just bones, miserable creature, which is nowhere near Christ. I mean, it's impossible that Christ could be like that, so miserable, ugly looking, thin, worn out, hopeless case. How can he be Christ? I can't understand. He carried a complete, huge, big cross upon himself. Do you think these bones could have carried? And this was placed just below where in Sistine Chapel you find Christ standing as he was. How can it be? We must understand, and all these miserable things have led to such problems, because people think that if you are seeking, you should look the most miserable person. If you are a realized soul, you should be skeleton. It's impossible to explain to them that how can it be? A person who is a realized soul never suffers. He never suffers. The other day, I am covering this subject before coming to the chakras, because in these few days what I have gathered is that very absurd ideas are crawling upon here in America, where people start saying that Buddha said that you must suffer. How can he say like that? It's illogical, impossible. How can he say that you should suffer? Because when he saw suffering, you know the story, when he went out, he saw an old man, he saw a sick man, he saw a dead man, and the idea came into his head that why are they suffering? And then he said it is because they are ignorant, they should be enlightened, there should be enlightenment. And then he went round and searched and ultimately he was tired. He was sitting down under a banyan tree where he received his enlightenment, spontaneous. How can he say that you must suffer? The another myth among Christians is that you must suffer. Why should you suffer? Because Christ has suffered for you, isn't it? Has he suffered or not? If he has suffered for you, then why should you suffer any more? Or has he left something for you to be done? Was he incomplete in his suffering? Did you want him to suffer more? Actually, this suffering business is the greatest nonsense that I have ever heard. The another side of the Christ is the Jews. They said that if you accept Christ, I mean they were in a way correct, that if you accept Christ, then you will have to say that we have no suffering. So don't accept Christ. If you don't accept Christ, then we must suffer. All right? So you suffer. And they suffered in Germany, you know how they suffered. Now they have become ego-oriented. They are on the other side, now the shoe is on the other leg. All these mythical ideas about God, his incarnation, his aspects, is so man-made that it has become plastic, absolutely plastic. And I don't know how you are going to destroy this plastic from the human brain. It is absolutely impossible to convince them that suffering has nothing to do with realized souls. Actually, suffering is there where you are lost in a tempest in the water, you are worried about getting engulfed. But if you are put on the boat, will you feel the suffering? If you are a Christian, if you are a realized soul, if you are really baptized, really, not by just putting your hand and I baptize you so and so in the name of this and that, that has no meaning at all. It's just a drama. You dress up well, take the little baby there, she's dressed well and nobody knows anything what's happening and they just put the hand and you just accept it. This kind of baptism, of course not. But the real baptism, when the Kundalini rises from here, she goes up, here she awakens Christ. When he sucks these two things, ego and superego, meaning your conditionings and your karmas, both the things, they are sucked in, and then the thing, there's an opening here. Actually, you feel the softness here on your head, just like a child. He said you have to be like little children to enter into the kingdom of God. Means, what do the children have? They have a soft bone home here. That's how it becomes. Actually, it should become physically, and you start feeling the cool breeze coming out of your head. So, I wanted to clear you on this point, that there is no need for human beings to suffer. Only thing, they are to be born again. Now, again, this is another very, very funny situation creating word is born again. When I came to America last time, everybody was trying to tape me. I mean, we had much more groups than we have here now. I don't know what has happened to them. They are all shifted, they are not here, God knows where they have gone in America, because all the time Americans are shifting. You see, they are not grahasthas, they are not householders. They are all the time shifting from places to places. It's impossible to lay hands on anyone. So somebody has gone to California, somebody has gone to Caracas, I mean, everybody has shifted, and I don't know where are they lost, whatever it is. Now, the main thing is that when I came here, I told them that you are to be born again. You are to be a realized soul. Means actually I didn't mean that you go to some place and say that I am born again. That sort of a thing I never said. And the gentleman who had organized the program in Los Angeles, he was very anxious that he said, Mother, don't allow anybody to tape your lectures. But I said, what's the harm? I mean, after all, what's the harm? He said, no, but they'll spread this. I said, very good. What do I want out of them? Is spread the news, all right. Now come, and they should get their realization, this is a fact, this is the truth, and what is the harm? After all, truth is truth. But I didn't realize that they were so stupid, that they started many organizations on that. You see, the vibration word came after that, and the born again. Now, they are born again, self-certified born agains. You find them anywhere. I met them in America, in Australia. We are born again. I said, how? We are born. I said, but how? What is your authority? Bible is our authority. I said, but how do you say that you are born again? You must be collectively conscious, isn't it? Something must take place. They are fanatics. These born agains are nothing but another prototype of Mr. Khomeini, nothing else. They are Khomeinis. All these fanatics are nothing but Khomeinis in different names, in different labels, but they are not born again. They are not realized souls, because a realized soul is collectively conscious. He is, I am saying to be, he becomes. It is not just he says that I am born again. It's foolish and stupid to say like that I am something. Supposing tomorrow I start saying that I am the governor of this place, they will arrest me and put me in the lunatic asylum. That is how people have branded themselves. We are this and we are that and we are that. And another thing human beings have is to club. They always club together. You see, under any name they can club. Like in England, I met someone. He said, oh, they belong to our group. I said, what is your group doing? He said, you see, we have our fork and spoons put in a different way. I said, huh? For that they have formed another group. I said, really? Yes, you see, our fork and spoons are not the way they put it is in England. We have another group. I mean, any nonsense they will take up to form a club or to form a group or a cult or a sect, and then bring in God in between. You know, it is God has given us this idea. Now, how did you get connected to God? It's such an absurd thing going on. I mean, these sects and all these things, I just can't understand. God has created no sects, nothing. He has only created two types of human beings. One who are realized, one who are not. There's no third type. At the most you can say there are seekers and non-seekers. At that point where you can say those who are not realized. But I can't think of any other thing. I mean, God has created different type of faces. For example, somebody has, say, blonde hair, somebody has black hair, somebody has white skin, black skin. He had to do like that, otherwise we would have all looked like machines. Like these chairs that are here, we would have had no beauty about us, isn't it? There would have been no variety. It's such a boring thing to see all these chairs morning till evening. That's why he created this beauty. He made us so beautiful by giving us different permutations and combinations and things. It's such a work he has put in, while we are trying to become machine like bolts and nuts, and we become sort of, as they call it, the work. You see, the work we become of God, which is absent. Say in the nature, if you see, even one leaf is not just the same like the other leaf. Even there, variety creates the beauty. And on this point also people are there. There might be leagues here for the red hair league and black hair league, or maybe any sort of any nonsensical thing they can use it. You can't say to what extent they can go in forming a club, any sort of thing. And here we are to see that we are universally like this.